Buenos días y bienvenidos a otro episodio de Spanish with Dr. Fisher. This episode will be helpful to you if you have already mastered the present tense and you want to move on to using the preterite and imperfect tenses in your Spanish conversations. If you need a review of the present tense, feel free to check out my other videos for grammar lessons and conversational practice with the present tense. So let's get started with a quick overview of two tenses we use to communicate things that we have done in the past: the preterite and the imperfect. If you are watching this, hopefully you have a solid grasp of the concept of conjugations, but if not, we take the original form of the verb, called the infinitive, take off the last two letters, and add these endings based on which subject we need. This episode builds on the information I presented in my other episode when I was in Barcelona, so make sure you check out that video as well. Feel free to pause the video if you need to copy this information. I always get the question about including the subject when conjugating. For example, students ask me if they need to include the yo on hablé. You don't necessarily need it because it is the only option for a subject. However, if you say habló, it can be he, she, or you spoke, so you need to include the subject if you don't have any previous information that informs the listener of the subject. It isn't ever wrong to include the subject, but you'll notice that native speakers frequently leave off the subject if it is understood. Now, when using the imperfect, you'll notice that the first person and the third person singular are the same. I'm talking about the aba and ia endings. You are more likely to need the subject when using the imperfect because now if you say hablaba, it can mean I used to talk, she used to talk, he used to talk, or you used to talk. Overall, you need to know that the preterite is used when you are talking about something specific that happened for a particular period of time, whereas the imperfect is used when you're talking about ongoing action in the past or something that used to happen. All of these words are helpful while using the preterite tense, so feel free to pause the video to make note of these. You are more than welcome to repeat them as I say them. Ayer, anoche, esta mañana, el año pasado, la semana pasada, el fin de semana pasado, el lunes, martes, miércoles, jueves, viernes, sábado, domingo. And the example there is fui a la tienda ayer. All of these words are helpful while using the imperfect tense, so feel free to pause the video to make note of these. You are more than welcome to repeat them as I say them. Siempre, casi siempre, todos los días, normalmente, a veces, mucho, cuando era joven, cuando era niño, cuando era niña. In the example there, yo pescaba todos los días. Now we have the conversational questions using the preterite tense. As I read each question, feel free to pause the video to practice formulating a response. I have examples of the responses on the right, but your answers may differ. ¿Qué hiciste ayer? ¿A dónde fuiste anoche? ¿A qué hora llegaste a casa anoche? ¿Qué comiste esta mañana? ¿Ya comiste? Now we have the conversational questions using the imperfect tense. As I read each question, feel free to pause the video to practice formulating a response. I have examples of responses at the bottom, but your answers may differ. ¿Qué hacías cuando eras joven? ¿Qué comías cuando eras joven? ¿Tenías algún juguete favorito cuando eras joven? ¿Dónde vivías cuando eras joven? ¿Te gustaba ir al parque cuando eras joven? I hope this episode helps you to work on your conversational skills in Spanish with the past tenses. Feel free to subscribe and check out my other videos.